Will Illuvium scholarships be important to the growth of the game Illuvium, or be required by the majority of players due to the barrier of entry? Let's find out. Hi, my name is Terran, and I am on a journey in 2022 to educate and build a community of players who are ready to compete in the game called Illuvium on the esports level. We will be discussing strategies that include investing and preparing for the game before it's released in late 2022. I'm also strategizing for how we can establish ourselves as powerful contenders for the competitive scene to come. I'm a big fan and advocate of esports and love talking about strategy and strategy games. So if you want more of this type of content, please like and subscribe using the buttons below, and we'll see you in the video. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to get into this, and we're going to start with this slide because these are part of the tokenomics of the game, right? So this is where our money's going. If I move my head down here, you can see the bottom part down here is talking about traveling and crafting weapons. So I'm not covering up much, but I just want to briefly touch base on this because we see that here are the token holders, the stakers, and what we're interested in right now is this little bottom part. So this bottom part is talking about the SILV token and ETH expenses within the game themselves. So if you scroll through here, we're talking about ETH. It is going to be used in crafting, shard curing, and traveling to different regions within the game. And then we also have the SILV token here at the bottom, which is talking about how it's used purely in-game, only in-game expenses such as land, shard curing, travel to different regions, crafting, and weapons, armor. So the Illuvatars, right? And this little graph in the middle kind of goes into more depth. So we've got the Leviathan Arena where we can go wager our ETH and play against other players and win or lose our Ethereum, what have you. You have the travel fees, which obviously are going to be used in either ILV token or ETH. Shard curing, like our Pokeballs, if you want to compare it to Pokemon, are going to be ILV token and ETH as well. And then the Illuvatars, the skins, making your character unique, cool. Both tokens as well, ETH and the token. The land auction that's going to take place is going to be an ETH and SILV. The Illuvidex, the peer-to-peer platform where we buy and exchange our NFTs from the game and our Illuvatars, are going to be in just Ethereum, apparently, as far as this is concerned. And so that's that, right? The next slide here, we're going to go into a little bit more detail because it actually talks about how much each cycle, according to this, is going to cost us. Cycle meaning our traveling, our curing shards, capturing our first Illuvatar, and then getting back to home base, whatever the main town is, what have you, whatever you want to call it. So according to this, and according to some of the developer interviews with Warwick, we've kind of established that they want our entire adventure, one cycle is what they're calling it, but our adventure from leaving home, going out and adventuring, capturing whatever we want, and coming back home is going to cost anywhere between $30 to $50 US, right? So that's exploring, harvesting, crafting, capturing. And we have other things listed here as far as trading NFTs and what could be in store for that. We've got RevDiz up here, staking, and that's pretty much it for this slide. Okay. So all of these things, right, are gonna cost some sort of fee whenever you're going out to harvest, whenever you're going out to battle, capture your Illuvatars. And what we can expect is that there will be at least 100, so we're told, but possibly 150 different Illuvatars whenever the game is first released. And what I kind of want to point out is that if there's 150 Illuvatars and it costs about $50 to adventure, and you are a collector of sorts, or you want to compete at a high competitive esports scene, then much like Pokemon, or if you want to compare it to other card games, like I also have played Digimon games and Yu-Gi-Oh, etc. So you want as many of these assets available to you, right? So essentially you're going to want all 150, however many there are. So if you only obtain one new Illuvatar every adventure, which is kind of unrealistic because, let's face it, I've played games that you could go out and obtain nothing new. You're obtaining the same cards. I've bought Pokemon cards. I've got the same cards over and over and over again. This is something we can all come to expect from this game as well. But let's just say, for the sake of this argument, that we spend $50 and we obtain a new Illuvatar for that $50 spend every adventure, every time we go out. We can capture all 150 of these things, but it's going to cost $7,500, right? And this is if you're a collector. If you're wanting to collect them all, if you want to have them all in your inventory, if you want to have them all available to you for the Leviathan competitions, the ranked competitions, the arenas, right? Then you want all of them. And you want to be able to level them all up, power them all up, have all of them available to you. Nobody can use a combination of their Illuvatars against you and surprise you because you have all of them available to you as well. And so you're looking at a minimum spend of about $7,500. Not everybody can do that, right? But let's compare that to the other successful game, Axie Infinity, right? So we know in Axie, it's 0.035 Ethereum for one Axie, and we need 3 to play that game. So your total expenses as of the time of this video, Ethereum is right around $2,500, so it's $262.57 for your 3 Axies in order to play. And then in order to breed additional Axies, it's going to cost 0.5 AXS, which is $25, or roughly $25, maybe a little bit more, and that all depends on the token, right? So this slide's a little bit smaller than the other ones. I apologize, but what it says is your adventure in back to our game, Illuvium, your adventure round trip, we're gonna guesstimate is anywhere between $30-$50 according to everything we've been given, right? So my speculation is the travel cost from the obelisks they're talking about. So you're in your home base, you have to interact with this obelisk. This obelisk will most likely teleport us somehow to these 7 varying landscapes that we're able to explore, and that will cost us probably anywhere between $20 to $25, right? And you need shards. You need shards just like we need Pokeballs in Pokemon. And we can harvest materials, apparently. We can craft these things. You could probably buy these off of the Illuvidex from other players, so that you don't have to actually go out and do the work for them. You could just buy all these up front on the Illuvidex, most likely. Like that is an item in the game, something that holds value. Have to use our real money to obtain them. So I'm venturing to guess it's going to be about $5 to $10 for every shard that you either craft or purchase, right? If you buy it straight up from another player, it's going to cost more, most likely, than if you went out and harvested all the necessary means to make your own or to cure your own shards. That'll be interesting if you can buy those directly from other players, or if you have to do it yourself. Moving on to the anomaly scanning. So we know that there are these glowing anomalies that we have to, looks like we shoot with a gun with all the trailers that we've seen. And we can scan these anomalies and see ahead of time what we can encounter if we venture forward through that anomaly. That will cost a fee as well, probably about $3 to $5, I'm guessing. And so you're around inside that $30 to $50 range, right? So at the bottom, I'm just kind of predicting here. Adventure yields 3 new Illuvials. We go on an adventure, we capture 3, right? And their prices range from anywhere between 0.01 to 0.05 ETH. So we could probably turn around and sell those essentially on the Illuvidex for anywhere between $25 to $125, based on the assumption that the prices will be about the same, maybe even better than Axie Infinity prices for some of the Axies that you can capture and sell and trade there. This is kind of the price range that I feel like we're going to experience, especially in the beginning stages of this game, when the game's released, for even just the common and uncommon Illuvials, right? So it will be beneficial to be one of the first people in this game. You will be able to actually make your money back. You will be able to go on these adventures and make your money back to continue adventuring. But we are not just wanting to adventure, right? We are wanting to experience the game and experience this whole area over here on the right that we see called the Leviathan Arena. Okay, so Sanctum. I missed it earlier, but Sanctum is our home base. You've got the Ranked Arena, the Leviathan Arena, and there is our obelisk that we need to interact with to venture forward into the world of Illuvium. And finally, here we are. We are at the Leviathan Arena, right? And this is where we all want to be. This is probably why you were interested in this video. This is why I made the video, because I want my team and my guild, my clan, whatever have you, my followers and my stream to be able to make it here with me. If I'm not the one competing in the arena, I would be honored to have taught and helped along the player that ends up in this arena competing in the first World Championship event in esports history in Illuvium. That is my dream, that is my goal. Here we go. So in order to get into this arena, much like Pokemon, you are going to want access to all of these Illuvials, right? And it's gonna cost some money, because instead of selling all of your Illuvials while you're adventuring and obtaining these things, you not only need 13 of them essentially to fuse them, evolve them, what have you, and get the highest tier, the best version of your Illuvials possible. But you also still probably want a base version of these Illuvials too. They will serve a purpose. We've been told they serve a purpose. In certain game modes, you can only use so many stars worth of, I can't think of the word for it, but I'm just going to say stars worth of units. And so the higher tier units will be more costly to play on the field of battle than your basic Illuvials. So some cases you may want to still have a really strong base level Illuvial and not the evolved form of it, so that you can play it in certain circumstances. However, if all you're interested in is the ranked play, the ranked competition that will be worth all the gold, all your weight in gold, all your weight in ILV tokens, when we go into the esports scene, we do, however, know that you don't technically need all of the best Illuvials. You don't need the higher tier Illuvials. Here you can actually probably compete with just the base ones, because we've been told that your base alluvials will be boosted. Basically, you'll get your base alluvials out on the field of play, but they will allow you to use all of his forms, if that makes sense, in the ranked competition. So you don't have to actually have invested all the time and energy into the game to obtain all the forms of your alluvials. Even if you just have the basic version of all of them, that basically allows you to unlock and use all of their forms in the ranked mode, in ranked play, so that and everyone's alluvials will be of equal value. So if I'm using a certain type of alluvial and my opponent uses the same exact one, both of ours will do the exact same damage, have the exact same health, all that jazz. So to answer the question, is scholarships going to be a thing in Illuvium? I don't believe so. I don't believe scholarships are going to be as big of a deal as they are in Axie Infinity. I believe most players will be able to afford an account and be able to afford to play the game and not need the funds of a whale or someone to support them in starting the game. However, just looking at the numbers that we just ran through and theory crafting what it would take to actually obtain and hold all of the alluvials and possibly have to compete at the highest level using as many of these assets as we can obtain as fast as we can obtain them. Knowing that the first big tournament is going to be in 6 months after the game's release, I don't know that 6 months is enough time as a essentially free-to-play player. If I just started out with $100 to $150 to play this game, I would have to be constantly finding assets to sell and waiting for that sell to happen, possibly having to wait for the sell just to keep journeying and adventuring to obtain the additional alluvials that I need, obtaining all of the alluvials needed for the evolutions and fusions. So yes, I believe there is a place for scholarships, but I don't believe the majority of players will need scholarships. If you're wanting to be one of the best players in the world and you want to be coached by someone, if you want a whale's help to have the funds and the necessary means to obtain all the assets, obtain all the alluvials you can, become one of the best players, have everything available to you, so that there is no strategy, your account's limitless, that you can't obtain, that you can't do. Like, there's nothing you could encounter that someone else could do to you that you can't just turn around and do back to them, is what I'm trying to say, I guess. Because you would have obtained all of the assets, all of the alluvials, then yes, in that case, I believe you can still support other players. You can still possibly have these scholars playing for free, essentially, because they don't have that kind of money to be continually playing this game and obtaining the assets without having to turn around and sell a lot of them to keep going, right? And that may lend to be favorable to the account managers as well. If in the beginning you're not going to see a lot of return on it, because if your scholars aren't having to spend the money to and time to sell the assets to continue to obtain ILV or ETH to continue playing the game, they're just using what was available at the start of the game to be able to play and just obtain the assets and hold them and fuse them together and spend the money that you make available on an account, possibly. If it works that way, then maybe you can give someone enough of an edge without needing to make those funds on their own from within the game that they already have available to them, and they are able to progress. They are able to grind into those higher tier zones, obtain the higher tier alluvials, without needing to spend the time and the effort to continue to buy, trade, barter, and sell their way to victory, essentially. So they will be able to obtain all of the alluvials quicker. They'll be able to practice with all of the alluvials quicker. And if for instance you wanted to be the account manager of the person who wins the first huge competition, right? Like if they win that competition and you're the manager of that scholar, and they're playing on an account that you funded, and they win a competition, you get a percentage of that, right? You get 20 to 30%, or whatever it is, however we decide to set this thing up, however it works. And that could be huge, because you didn't even have to play to do it, but you helped build that player, you helped fund that account. Then yeah, I can see some use cases for it. I can see where it might come in handy to need a scholarship to play the game and not use any of your own funds. But again, I don't think it's necessary for most people. I mean, this is going to be a fairly easy, accessible game that you can continue to play, and all you need is your own time, energy, and a little bit of money to get started. Every game costs money. Even most free-to-play games nowadays cost money. There is a purchase that needs to be made, but then you can just play for free. And that's essentially what I'm hearing from the developers that they wanted from the game in the first place. Once you get in, once your initial investment, once you purchase your first Illuvium or ETH to get started on your journey, you may never need to onboard funds into your game account ever again. Your game account builds its own funds naturally just by playing the game. And so it will take time. Like I said, some players will have to trade, sell their alluvials. They'll have to go out and catch more. But eventually, everybody should be able to build a full roster, build full teams, deck out their inventories, get cool shinies, get cool holographic things, build your Illuvatars, your gear, your skins, all naturally, all just by playing. Unless that doesn't interest you, unless you want to be the whale that just sits back and invests in things and lets people do it all for you, and all you do is fund the account, then yes, if that's what you're after and that's why you're watching this video and that's what you wanted to know, there will be a use for that. There will be players that may be interested in that. Even $50, $100 may be a lot to some people. You may not have that much cryptocurrency. You may be dealing with people that aren't comfortable onboarding their own fiat currencies from their banks and stuff into the world of cryptocurrency just to play this game, right? So you could also fund accounts for people who are hesitant still, even today. I know that's unreal, but even today, there may be people who just don't want to have to buy cryptocurrency, and they would much rather just play on an account funded in a scholarship by you, possibly, than have to set that up themselves. So there's a lot of different ways you could go about doing it. There are some reasons why it might be good to use, but for the most of us that are already in cryptocurrency, who are comfortable buying cryptocurrency, have accounts on multiple exchanges, or have already invested in multiple different things, the price point of this game, and from what we've found out so far, doesn't seem to be an issue going forward for most of us players. And so that's kind of what I want to get out there. If you're looking at this from the outside in, and you're kind of scared what it's going to cost because we've already seen what's happened with Axie Infinity, I just want to be rest assured that's not going to happen with this game. That is not this game. I'm not part of the development team, but I mean that's what they're telling us, right? The devs are telling us that their barrier to entry will not suffer the same consequences that Axie Infinity has already suffered, and so the scholarships may not be as important here as they were for Axie Infinity. Okay? All right. See you guys next time.